Handle more business.
Will 2026 material handling and supply chain trade shows fuel company growth? That's the question. In some industries in the last few years, trade shows have faded from relevance. And in other industries, trade shows are thriving. I love trade shows, and I'm happy to report that in the material handling and supply chain industries, trade shows are very important going into 2026. For this episode of Handle More Business, we caught up with trade show experts to get their input and advice on how material handling companies can maximize ROI at the upcoming MODEX trade show.
First of all, thank you so much for joining me today. We wanted to get an idea so MODEX has over 1,000 exhibitors this year. Huge show, lots of people coming from all over the world. That's a lot of competition, that's a lot of noise. What would be some of your advice to an exhibitor looking to kind of like stand out or really make an impact with that large of an audience?
So standing out from the crowd, right? That would be, that's a challenge. There's 1,000 booths. The attendees' time and attention is pulled all over the place. They're not going to notice and they're not going to process every booth. So how do you make sure that your booth is one of the ones that not only gets seen, but gets processed? So let me define that. So since we launched our E3 program, we've evaluated almost 45,000 booths. I'm talking stood in front of booths with an iPad with a 21-point evaluation. And I've boiled it down into 6 words. A great booth in 6 words, okay? So if your booth does these 6 things, you're gonna get your fair share. If it doesn't, you're gonna struggle. Number 1, look. Force me to look. You gotta pull out all the stops, right? Because if I don't see it, I'm not gonna process it. So look is gonna come down to color, lighting, imagery, motion, sound, props, materials, flooring, staffing, everything. So job 1 is get them to look, okay? So job 2 is when they look, their brain is automatically gonna fire 2 questions. They're gonna glance at the booth and they're gonna go, what is it? And why should I care? You have to quickly and visually answer the what and the why questions. A lot of companies, the what is somewhat obvious, but the area where I see companies struggle the most is on the why. Why should I care? So in that area, it's important to think about your target customers, think about their current warehouse distribution, material handling process, think about where you fit into that process, think about pain points, situations that they're likely grappling with that you are uniquely qualified to help them solve. Then in your exhibit graphics, whether it's static graphics, AV, video, dangle problems. Human brain is wired to look for. It knows what sort of problems we're having, and it's almost unconsciously looking. So think less about your products, think more about your customers, and think more about what you can help them solve or what you can help them seize. Solve this problem, seize this opportunity. So look, what, why, who. Okay, who, very important. Companies spend a lot of money to rig top-tier signs. Many companies have what I would call a nondescript company name, meaning if I look at the company name, I have no idea what they do. I still don't know. So if you have a nondescript company name, make sure that you have the who and the what together, who we are and what we do, okay? So look, what, why, who, enter, and move about the cabin. So in smaller booths, the biggest mistake smaller exhibitors make is they'll throw a table across the front of their space and they'll force the attendee to stay in a neutral space. So there's a psychological shift that happens when a person crosses the carpet line. So don't block the entrance. Get them in.
So flow is very important.
I would say access in smaller booths. In larger booths, yeah. In larger booths with multiple solutions, it's about wayfinding, and it's about almost thinking about the natural, placing them in a natural sequence where here's the first point, here's the second point, here's the third, and having clear directional, mid-level directional headers of what is where. So that's the look, and avoid these club booths. I'm starting to see more of these at MODEX, but there's a lot of research out there that suggests that attendees don't like to enter into an enclosed space, a walled-in booth with an air, not knowing what's going on inside and not knowing if and when and how they can exit. So be careful with closed booths. Look what, why, enter, and do. The final point is you've got to, the way you stage your products, your solutions, the way you show, tell, demonstrate, present has got to be fully immersive. It's got to be visual, auditory, kinesthetic. Confucius said it best. Confucius said, I hear and I think, I see and I remember, I do and I know. That's what you want your presentation to be about. Fully immersion, right to the point. You want it to be able to, when they leave that booth, if you shook them awake at 3 a.m, said, what was it about that solution? They go, it's this. Then you know you've nailed it. So look, what, why, who, enter, do. There it is.
Awesome. That's great. Thank you so much for that. And so I guess a follow-up question for me would be, if a company is planning, like it's December, we're about 4 months out, what is a communication strategy that companies can implement in order to ensure that they're connecting with their audience, and when that audience is making their trade show plan, I want to stop by that booth?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most people don't know this. I'm going to shock some people with this statistic, but the average attendee at a B2B trade show will stop and cross the carpet line of 26 to 31 booths. Half of those stops are pre-planned. Boom. That's a mouthful. So what you want to think about is what I like to call winning the game before kickoff. That's a fun game to play. If you've ever played a game like that, you know what I'm talking about. So winning the game before kickoff means doing everything and anything you can do between now and when you arrive here in Atlanta for MODEX to be in the mind, on the agenda of enough of the right people. That's the battle cry. Winning the game before kickoff is that. So how do you do that? First, you identify who your target visitor, your most important target. The way I think about it is this. If I was only allowed to see or talk to 25, 50, or 100 people, and I got to talk to nobody else the entire show, only the 25, 50, 100, who would they be? And I would start there. And I would call them my MVP, my must-see visitors. And then with them, I'm going to pull out a very direct communication using multiple channels. People always ask me, they go, what's the best channel for promoting my booth at a show? And my answer is there is no best. The magic is in the mix. Different people pay attention to different media. I like to use this analogy. It's hard to win the race with a one-legged horse. Meaning email. So you want to put at least 4 legs on that horse, right? So using a combination of media from email, social media. Don't forget about the mailbox. The clutter in the mailbox has gotten really, really light. And when I'm targeting my top 25, my top 50, a strategy I've used a lot is a shock and awe box, we call it. We literally send something to them that's related to what we do with a request for a few minutes at the show and some form of a reward for either going to our landing page. We've got appointment enabling tool like Calendly on there. Click your time, 20 minutes goes on your calendar mine. So identify your must-see visitors, use multiple channels, touch them a minimum of 3, ideally 5 times, use the multiple channels. You've got to give them a reason why. It's all about the why. You've got to literally be able to say, hey, if you're struggling with this or that, right, give us 5 minutes at MODEX. You'll see, you'll do, you'll learn. And oh, by the way, I got something super cool for you at the booth. And then follow through and add, and then get to your sales team, your dealer distributors. Let's get on the phone and call some people. So we're all today, we're too high touch, we're going too digital, and we're forgetting that at the end of the day, people do business with people they know, like, and trust. And the goal of your communication should be to identify, I see you, I want to help you get to where you want to go. I know that we can get there. Can we get 5, 10, 15 minutes together? It's kind of what you're doing. So it's winning the game before kickoff.
Right. That's really great advice. I really appreciate that. And really working with our clients, I really try to ensure that they understand exactly what you're talking about, especially the multiple touch points and not just going for that one-legged horse is super important, but that point of calling up and following up before the show to secure those appointments is a really good piece of advice. So Well, thank you so much, Jefferson. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in April in Atlanta. Thank you so much.
Right. One take.
Kristan, why don't you tell me a little bit about Rehrig Pacific's plans for MODEX this year?
We're really looking forward to MODEX. We have been exhibiting for a couple of years. This year we have a huge booth, and it's going to be great because we're going to fill it with our entire end-to-end product line, which we haven't been able to do before. MODEX is really a good platform, and they allow you that kind of space, and you're going to be getting quality leads. So we're really excited. We're going to start partnering with some of our ASRS partners so that their product is in our booth, and then our product, totes and bins and pallets, will be in their booths. So it kind of expands our footprint on the show floor because it's not just in our booth, then it'll be in other people's booths too. So we're really looking forward to it.
That's a really great strategy. That's really good for co-branding, kind of moving your footprint across the show floor so it's not just dedicated to one place. That's a really good strategy for our audience to maybe implement as they're looking to expanding what they're doing this next year with trade shows. What is it that you're most excited about seeing when you get to Atlanta here?
Well, definitely our competitors. I'm not going to lie, because this is when we get to see what they're launching, obviously. And then also our partners. We have such great companies that we partner with, that our solutions work with, that we develop for them. So I'm looking forward to seeing them in action on the show floor.
That's another really great point, because that is true. I think that competitive analysis is really important when you're a marketer. Looking at branding, looking at marketing. I can't tell you how many times I've gone through the show floor with a camera and taken pictures of booths from competitors of my clients just to make sure that you're paying attention to trends. You're unfortunately also paying attention to things you don't want to do. But that's a really good strategy as well. So with that, what would be one piece of advice you would give a company that was maybe looking to invest in becoming an exhibitor with MODEX? Sort of what would be your biggest piece of advice, or where do you suggest they start?
We always start by walking the show. So go to the show before you commit. Is this your audience? Are your competitors there? Are your partners there? If not, obviously, show's not for you. And then once you have that, as soon as you can, book your booth space, because it's like getting concert tickets. You cannot get the space if you don't lock it in right away. And then get as big a booth as you possibly can, because the more money you spend, the higher up on the list to pick your booth for next year you are. So you have a better chance of getting a more premier location. All the locations are great, but you want to be in the hall where all your partners and your competitors are, and you want to be near the entrance. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Right. Yeah, that is really good advice too. And I know MHI in particular is very good at providing other opportunities outside of just booth purchasing to kind of help their point system, so you can get involved in some of their digital media campaigns and things like that to help out as well. But that is a really good strategy. Thank you so much. But thank you so much for your time. I hope you're enjoying your week in Atlanta, and we'll see you in April of 26. What would you say would be your biggest piece of advice then, if somebody was looking to start a trade show strategy for their marketing department, whether big or small, within the material handling space? Like, what would you say would be a great tool for them to use?
I would say to meet with your sales managers, your CEOs, to make sure that you are aligning whatever you're doing with marketing with the business strategy. And that's going to inform your booth and your messaging, and really make sure that you're working closely with those people to all be on the same page. So you can just have booth success from that.
That's really excellent. Actually, I'm really glad you said that, because I think a lot of times the tendency is, and the perception, I guess, of marketing is to really have fun. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't align with business strategy and goals, then people aren't going to remember you for much, except for maybe what you gave away. And that's not the point of marketing. So Thank you so much, Carolyn, for your time. I hope you enjoy your week here in Atlanta.
You, Kirsten, you too.
Thank you so much, Jefferson, Kristan, and Carolyn. Those were all really great insights. One thing I'd like to add that's really important for companies exhibiting at a show is to have some measurement. There's different ways to add measurable metrics to your trade show plan, and I think that's key, because if you can measure it, you can determine if it was successful. If anyone wants some insights on ways that MPC recommends measurement for trade shows, please reach out to me directly or continue to watch Handle More Business. We're definitely going to get into marketing measurement metrics later this year. You can find our episodes at our YouTube, on our website at masterplancommunications.com, or LinkedIn. Thanks.